I am so excited to be back with you all today. And today I have a sacred soul sister, an ally, someone who has mentored me in the past. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ivonne Delaflor, and I'm going to read her bio because it is impressive. So Ivonne Delaflor is a multi-time published author, speaker, spiritual teacher, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and transformational leader. She is the creator of the International 21 Days of Faith and Action movement, the Futuring Now programs, and the Sacred Geometry Codes of Awe, as well as master trainer of trainers in the Futuring methodology. As founder of Delaflor Teachings International and the nonprofit Mastery Life, she has spent more than 2 decades guiding individuals and organizations in leadership, spirituality, personal transformation, and human potential. She has developed hundreds of educational and transformational programs and is recognized for integrating faith, systems thinking, and practical action into her work. A survivor of a near-death experience, Ivonne brings a unique perspective on faith, resilience, and conscious leadership, inspiring people around the world to align purpose with action and create meaningful, lasting impact. Welcome, Ivonne.
Thank you, Dawn, for having me here. You are so professional, and I love to be with you. You know that.
Yeah,
You're a professional. You're a professional futurist.
Well, for our listeners, that's what I trained with Ivonne under is her futuring. And so I know a lot of our listeners, even though they may have heard of it, I would love for you to explain what futuring is for them, since it's such a connection point between you and I.
Yeah, futuring is a methodology to think, just to put it in simple, practical ways that people will understand. In leadership, we are always taught that to start with the future in mind or to do something called reverse engineering. Well, imagine reverse engineering and starting with the future in mind, like what is the goal that you want? What are the results that you want? And work from the future into the now, instead of working from the now into the future. So it's very specific skills and techniques of visualization, of feeling, because the future is a feeling that can put your frequency, your state of mind, your mindset, your body feeling, and your actions into that frequency that you already are and want to become. And it's like an acceleration into a quantum leap into a result that is already there, that is possible, but you make it inevitable when your actions align with the future that you decide. So that's a little bit of futuring.
Oh, I love it. I know for me, it has been such a profound way to live my life because once I learned it from you and started using that methodology with my clients, but most importantly, started to embody it, I love the way it really provides incredible healing through not having to go through the past and always dig. I love that there's the past and there's the raw material, but I like the fact that to me it's inspiring. If you're going to heal towards something and get to be something in the now moment and not have to wait until a year from now when you get that outcome or thing that you want, I just love the fact that you get to settle into it in the now moment. So I know that futuring is just one of the many things that you do, but what is the most top of heart for you right now with the work that you're doing?
Well, right now, because I share with you privately, in March 14, I woke up having been diagnosed with Lyme disease, which is, for those of you who know, any neurological disease or diagnosis that is made of a bacteria. I had something called Babesia. But when you get a diagnosis like that, neurological, it impacts your neurology brutally. So it takes years to what they call recovery. But let's say that from February 14 that I was on the ER, the last time I was in the hospital, to March 14, I woke up feeling different. So in that moment, I call it a quantum leap, a quantum shift, a timeline shift, and many people will understand. I woke up and I was like, what has been happening? What's going on? And all I could see through these months, because the doctors, the functional doctors, and all of the experts said, this is like a 6-year journey. I was like, okay, surrender to that. But my test. And I want to be very cognitive of people, knowing, letting them know that I'm not a doctor, okay? This is what happened to me. But I did my test and the Lyme was gone. It was, and this is what you're saying, like the healing journey. It's like I didn't even have to go through a healing journey because the quantum leaps, the future that you so want to embody, is not sick, has never held trauma. So when that is embodied in your body, it makes a whole shift in your life and everything. Now, through the whole process, and since I was young and I had the near-death experience and all of these methodologies, the one thing has been very consistent, and is sacred geometry. I have been able to see in the most challenging times for me triangles literally floating inside my mind, outside in the field, and entering my body. Kind of like the people that do Reiki, they know they do this symbol called the Chokure, which is a symbol like the solfeggio. It's not like the solfeggio, but they did the symbol, they do Reiki healing, etc. I see these triangles called the Sri Yantra. There are 9 triangles interlocking themselves, representing the feminine and the masculine, but even deeper. But every time I've had a challenge, that sacred geometry appears, and it recently appeared again. So I've been creating sacred geometry for the public since 2016, almost 2006, sorry. So it's almost, yeah, it's 20 years. And so right now, my focus right now, in whatever I do, I teach, I bring in the sacred geometry in. I'm not teaching transcendental rebirthing anymore, that you mentioned in my bio. I am very selectively teaching futuring just for organizations, but it's everything related to sacred geometry, because I have now in my body, in my cells, everything, the experience of how it can accelerate quantum shifts in business, in sales, in healing, in relationships, in everything. So that's my focus right now. And it's called the Codes of the Codes of Absolute Harmony. And so I'm bringing them in all my collaborations. I have removed the woo-woo part of the story, and I'm just going in very quantum physics wise, scientifically wise, but also very spiritually wise. So that's what I'm focusing on.
Wow. And so when you're talking about these sacred geometry codes, and if somebody's never really had any experience with this, I know because I've seen them in the programs I've been with you in, or I've seen them on Facebook. They're gorgeous designs with color and the different sacred geometry. And then there's a theme typically around them. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, at the end of this podcast, if you want me, I can put one in the background of me and just guide like 30 seconds, something for your audience if you want. But there's a theme. I used to draw sacred geometry since very young, and I used to paint by oil. Actually, some of my friends still have the paintings decorating their living room. Linda Heller, that you know her, but they have the art, but it was like so long. I'm not an artist. I just wanted to paint, and sacred geometry has always been with me. But in 2006, I decided to start drawing them, taking pictures, and put them in a computer and begin to use technology, not AI. I don't use AI. That's why my codes feel like some people say you could beautify them with AI. I'm like, yeah, but not for me. I love AI, by the way. So don't, like, if anybody was going to tell me something about AI, I am in love with the progress of technology. So as long as we use it wisely. But every code, when I am creating, first I receive the images, I receive the colors second, and then I receive a name. So I don't know what this code is for until the geometry comes together. So then I receive, for example, I just created a code called the love DNA, for example, that it activates the Christ energy of love frequency, 5 to 8 hertz in our very cells, just the reactivation of that. And so I received the name, and that name is the activation of the code. And the codes don't do the work for people when they connect with sacred geometry, because sacred geometry is the language of the soul. It has the language of the soul is numbers, frequency, shape, and color. So that's a little bit about the process of it. An apology for my dog here in the back, but he's part of the family, if you hear him. So that's a little bit about the codes of
I love that. And so when people look at them, you said it doesn't do the work for them, but they connect to it. They bring their energy in resonance with it.
Yes, because you are at your core Every cell of your being is sacred geometry. We're created by fractals. You talk about this with quantum physicists, and they will be able to tell you. And so it's just like recognizing a language that you know. And so it reactivates the memories of that which you at the essence are. So that's why sacred geometry has been very powerful over thousands of years. The Buddhists that do these incredible mandalas with flowers, and they're all healing frequencies. And the reason they are healing is not because they have the ability to heal you, but because you rewire. It's like this methodology called EMDR that you do, eye rapid movement with the eyes that I studied many years before. It's like you look at the geometry and your eyes are moving, or your body is sensing it. The colors are creating an impact in your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. Neurologically wise, it's creating an imprint that is going to take predominance in the thought patterns of your brain. So you are kind of installing sacred geometry and changing your own algorithm. See, I'm telling you, Dawn, I had this quantum leap and I was like, I'm all technologically oriented now. I have no clue why, but that's it.
Do you find that the way that you're describing things, it sounds to me even like the words that are coming through your mouth are being channeled from this new consciousness or energy from your quantum leap? Is that because it's almost like when you're describing how it's working in your body, it's beautiful what you're saying.
Dawn, how woo can we go in your
Oh,
podcast?
we could go woo.
You know what? Talking from experience of what I'm feeling and sensing in my body, more than channeling is an accretion, like an accretion, more than embodiment is we try to embody something, but this is an accretion, a higher level of an activation of a memory, an unlocking of a memory of a future you that can live in the present moment in your body. And that will take predominance no matter what you lived in the past. This is my current reality, right? I can remember that I had these traumas, this scar near their experience that you spoke about, this losing an arm, a leg, that was my identity and my story for many years. And now I see it like a chapter of the book, next. Like my mentor, Tim Roberts says, done, next. But it's a real thing. It's not like a mindset hack. It's like talking. I was telling you that my daughter sent me a text of like, Mom, look at the screenshot of something that we were talking about 5 months ago. I was like, who's talking to you there? Who's that person? It was me. I'm like, don't pay attention to her. Literally, it was like bilocating myself into myself and creating this frequency of understanding that we're really here in the planet, darn. Not to channel, not even to embody. It's just to realize our full potential into enlightened awareness of our very selves. We are really God created. So even though you are going to suffer, even though my body's still in terrible pain, I broke my ankle many times, as you know, knee and everything. So this body is still in pain. This body is still on surgeries. This body is still in the healing process of Lyme. Even though Lyme is gone of the body, I'm going into the aftermath of it. But I am not engaged in that. So more than channeling, I feel I'm just here. I become simple, not important. And that brings me a lot of joy.
Oh my gosh, you said a lot. Okay. First of all, it's so interesting because so many people, myself included, I talk about channeling because I'm a channeler, and embodiment is such a term right now. Everywhere you go on social media, it's like if you're not embodied, and I love the thought of it, of really being in your wisdom and letting that be actualized through every cell of your being. That's what it feels like to me. But what you're saying feels even more simple. And if I understand this correctly, you're saying it sounds like God realization, like you're just realizing.
As you know me, I used to, for 30 something years, I used to live in monasteries, literally training 10 hours a day, chanting all of the Buddhist tradition, every single thing, very, very, very like a mystical path. What has happened now is that I appreciate that. However, I'm in a state of awe, Dawn, even of the suffering, of the pain. But it feels more like a childlike. I'm not sure if it's God realization because I have never been happier in my life. And I still have pain. I still need support sometimes with a wheelchair because Lyme leaves a trace of that. You have to rebuild your neurology. I still need surgeries. And I've never been so grateful in my life. So gratitude, what got realization, I think I'm just starting to uncover field. But it's simple because it's just joy. And it's just joy because you understand that when you say about embodiment, I do want to be clear because it's important for people. It's important what you are teaching people of that. Before this leap that I really feel I had, embodiment was very important because without embodiment, I could not have died to the old self. I would have died to little fragments. And I'm not saying this for anybody to say I'm going to die to the old self. I want to be very mindful. And it's not a permission for that. It's just to the realization that there has to be a collapse of the ego where you become nothing, no one. You cannot grasp anything, not anymore. You don't even care. I was in a time, February 14th, that was a moment where I didn't even care to wear clothes. It was so primal. The dead, I was prepared. I was preparing everything for my children, left everything arranged. I really felt like dying again. And then I woke up and it was all gone. So without that embodiment, without those years of training and the practice, I'm not sure if what I am experiencing and sensing right now, it would be available. But it is very simple, Dawn. It is as simple as, I'm going to just sound like whatever I said before that I was not going to talk about, but gratitude is really an accelerator of consciousness. And when you really hone that in your very bones, you will quantum leap, whether you want it or not. And you are going to wake up one day and you're going to say, what the heck happened?
And I think for some people, the thought of when they hear ego death, for me, when I've experienced ego deaths, it has caused some disruption in my reality and had me having to let go of an identity. So just so that people understand, an ego death can contain that. But what's so interesting about what you're saying is that it's almost, when you talk about the past, it's like you can see it, but there's no, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if this is true for you, but it doesn't feel like there's the same attachment to it.
Exactly. You are very accurate. There's no attachment because there's no you. So if you die to the self, if you die to the story, so my mom and I was abused and I had a near-death experience and I lost an arm, which I still have evidence of that. I mean, I cannot move the right arm because I had that car accident, or I have the evidence of, oh, this body went through Lyme. When I woke up from that experience, I woke up and looked at this body. I was like, oh, how interesting. This is my first thought, okay? This body has taken this mission of being me, whatever I'm here to do. Until this moment, I said, wow, now it's my turn. This is the car that I was delivered. This is like, wow, it has these memories, these stories. It was an interesting, detached thing. Now, about the ego, I literally, and in my very bones, felt what it's like to be in that space. I think Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now says it very well, that he was about to kill himself for the 25th time. Very suicidal, very, very cathartic. In The Power of Now, everybody can hear that. He has an incredible audio with his own voice that is a powerful transmission. And he says that he was about to kill himself, depressed, and he asked the question, like he said, I can no longer live with myself. And then there was a pause. There was a space where he was like, wait a second. I can no longer live with myself. Who's that? And that's the ego that occurred. He went into a blackout. Next day, he woke up enlightened, right? The power of now. For me, when I woke up again and renewed in awe, that's the only thing, renewed in joy, and nothing special, I realized that I have an ego again. And I have so much joy of that, Dawn, because I realized, how can I exist as an identity as Ivonne, talking to Dawn right now, without an identity of an ego? Now this time, I got to use it for what it's meant to do, right? I have an identity right now. I'm the role of a mother for wonderful beings. I have a puppy. I have a business. I have this. I'm in mission of that. So the death of the ego is all these personalities, all of these beliefs, even the spiritual beliefs, they collapsed, not one, but all at the same time. And I'm grateful for that.
Okay, so you were saying that the monastery, you staying there, I know you were doing the tea ceremonies and all these things. Are you still, is that still something that you're interested in doing, or has that shifted with this new quantum leap?
Well, the tea ceremony asked me if you come to, I also moved. Listen, when there's a quantum leap, when there's a shift in futuring wise, everything is going to change. I mean, it happened for you so many times, Don. You have been like a quantum leaper professional since I met you, right?
Yeah.
More than futurist. And now I can say this because now I understand it in my experience. Before it was a concept that people spoke about, or how you will read in books, or you will understand through the mind. Now I'm like, whoa. I've been in France. I can talk to you about Paris, right? I've been in London. I can talk to you about the trolleys. I've been in China. I can talk to you about the monasteries there. So I've been in the quantum leap, really. And so the monasteries, I'm going to tell you in a moment, yes. I'm not as, the job of my past self was that. The job of my past self was training in that level, on that level of intensity. That was her job. My job right now is to take all of that training and implement it and apply it in the next, whatever I'm doing now. Now, the tea ceremony, that's one of the things that surprised me. I woke up and I put all the tea ceremony things away.
Wow.
And so, Don, people come and they still call me, can we have a tea ceremony? I'm like, I still have the skills, but I'm not, something happened. I cannot, I'm still in the investigation of all of this. That's why I began to be obsessed with, let's now study Dr. Joe Dispenza, all of these quantum physicists, because I'm like, what? I can see it. It's like having an object of a dear friend that you are storing for them.
It's kind of mind-boggling, but I understand.
It is.
Because I've had these situations myself where I would probably have called it in a phase of my life, I used to like to do these things. And then when I shifted and changed and evolved into someone else, she had new interest. And so I
Love
understand.
that. Don, do you see? She had new interests. Now you will understand. I love you. Since I met you, you've been like, now I can say a quantum professional quantum leaper. And I'm sure that very soon you're going to be guiding your community for that. Little hint here, right? But if you study teachers like Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, that wrote the book, Loving What Is, I studied with her something called the School of the Work that is an inquiry on the self. And she always speaks about herself like she's having so much fun right now. And she just sneezed. I was like, oh, come on, and some people were like, oh, she's bipolar and everything. No, I get it. I get it because when you can no longer identify with that self that you were, then you have a white canvas to create a new. And then any challenge, because I woke up and guess what? When I woke up again, or in this new format in this 2.0 format, I'm not even going to say 5.0, 3.0, 2.0 format. And bills still need to pay. I was like, what did she do? I'm like, bills need to be paid. IRS is still needed to be taken care of. The body is like, wow, she messed up in this. I gotta fix things. Things are still gonna happen. Challenges are still gonna come. But your awareness is, in quantum physics, they say that our perception, we see reality in the past. We are behind what happens right now in the moment, like 5 seconds or so. And I may have wrong the numbers. But what happens with this is like, imagine that instead of 5 seconds, you are 2 seconds. So you are closer to that moment and you are able to leap the problem before it becomes something that you fear. And so when the situation comes, like for example, I was dreading in the past to go to the DMV because of my challenges. I've always had, I cannot move an arm or I cannot move the leg. I've always been able to drive. It's from the car accident that I had, that she had in the past, or it doesn't matter. And once I leaped, I was like, oh, it's only a meeting. The worst that can happen, they say, I cannot give you the permit or whatever it is. So you begin to leap into your now with absolute confidence that the best outcome is going to come for you.
That is incredible because a lot of people are living in fear. And I think with how much is shifting in the collective, how much there's going on in life, I think a lot of people may be looking to the external world to provide some validation that they're going to be okay. But what you're saying is really relying internally and working with this way of being that you can be more in your confidence and trust that everything's working out. I always love to say that if there's a big problem in life, there's already a solution. The creator has already set up the solution. But when we go into that contraction of fear, we're not going to be available to what's possible. So if somebody is living in that fear moment or they're scared about what's happening in the collective, what would you suggest for them?
Oh my goodness. And I'm not expert on this, but one thing I understand when I share this with you in futuring, the challenge that most of us have that have had quantum leaps or think with the future in mind or reverse engineer or do vision quests or visionary skills, all of that is the number one enemy is your past self or your belief self. Right now, it's not something out there. It's not the ex-girlfriend. It's not the ex-boyfriend. It's not the husband. It's the past self that related to that situation with fear. Because fear can only exist in the past.
Ooh, say that again. Why?
Fear. Think about why do you fear something? Because you are expecting something is going to go wrong based on what has happened before, based on what you have heard, based on what you've been told, based on the tiredness that you have felt. And so your body has memory of that situation and it replicates through the frequency of fear. That's why faith, that comes, my body of work is my field. I kept that. That's going stronger right now. I just published the book Faith in Action in English, and I just got news from the editor that the book in Faith in Action in Spanish is ready today, Dawn. So it's just very auspicious. Yeah, very auspicious. And another book is coming in English, but all about the calm that now I'm ready to talk about it. But fear, you're in fear, look for a vision in your mind as much as you honestly can of something that something good that happened in your past. And most likely, you have to go to a good childhood memory. If you had a terrible childhood, move into a teenager or move into a dream, move into something that you really wanted to do or a toy that you really loved. I recently led a certification for the new coaches, the first generation of coaches of Faith in Action in Latin America. And we did an exercise. It shifted everything for them. Go into a child dream that you had or a favorite toy and get it. So everybody getting little cars or little Hello Kitties, no advertisement here. But that memory was like reactivating not the inner child, but the person in you, the identity in you that believed in the future. And it's so powerful, Dawn, when you are visited by the one in you that believed in the future, which is what people call the inner child. You feel the visitation, you visit it too, and then it's very powerful because the fear begins to fade. Because little Dawn, will begin to tell you, look how far you have come.
Yes.
And if you made it today, said, I cannot make it right now with my toys. But you have all the skills and all the adult toys right now, no pun intended here, to move this forward. Your child that looks that is the past self is a future self that is going to tell you, I believe in you. So I will do that. It's a very kind of woo-woo exercise, but it's so helpful. It is so helpful.
That is, I think the listeners will love that. And it's so interesting because one of my favorite things that you would say when we were learning futuring is you can only serve one master at a time. You're either serving the past or you're serving the future. And I always held on to that. And I would always think about what you were saying, that fear that is connected to the data of the past. And I always try and remember in the present moment that the future is that blank canvas where it's completely open. And if I can just be open in this moment and start to connect to that timeline of, oh, it's already like it's already happened. It's amazing. It's already going, and start to rehearse and choreograph. That was one of my favorite things when I went through one of the most challenging, and you know about this, when I had to go through court for custody to move from California to Idaho. I remember everybody saying to me, "You're crazy to do that. You're not going to win." And I remember in those moments feeling the fear of things that haven't gone right in my life, and then being in the present moment, and then tuning into that timeline, and then feeling relief, imagining the judge saying, "Oh, you can move. You're granted permission to move to Idaho." And then I would start to feel that in my body and rehearse it. And I'd be on the treadmill, and all of a sudden I would feel little tears, little baby tears coming down my face, because I got so involved in that moment that I feel like I was starting to literally reprogram and give that future memory to my body as it was happening in that moment. And then when it actually did happen, and I got those very exact words, the funniest thing was that I wasn't surprised. I just sat there and because I'd heard it so many times in my head. And I think people would be like, "Did you make that happen?" I didn't make it happen, but I think I made myself available for that to be an
Yeah, you
outcome.
already have lived it.
Yeah.
It's like rehearsing a future that has already happened. You've been in the rehearsal mode. The thing is that we have to meet the present moment with faith, not with fear, because the present moment is already the past, right? And when you have a little, that's why the Bible and many scriptures said, faith of a mustard seed. It is so potent because it's quantum. So the faith is a quantum thing. It's like a little homeopathy that you put a drop on it and it will change everything. You got to stick into that, like you did, and rehearsing the future as it has already happened, because it has.
Yes. And
It
faith
has.
has
There's no
been.
future. Those futures have already happened right now. So the possibilities, remember, there are possible futures, probable futures, non-existing futures, and inevitable futures. So bring the most inevitable outcome to you. Someone like Sarah Blakely, the creator of Stunks, she's such an powerhouse. She's
Yeah.
such a believer of the universe, of the universe as someone that responds to her for manifestation. And she says that she always aims higher. For example, if she wants $10 million, she aims for $20 million. If she did a leap of like an exercise to jump from literally a balloon on air. I don't even know. I cannot even say it. And she said everybody was aiming to grab the hands of the person they needed to hold, not to fall. And she aimed to the head and she landed in the hand. So you have to aim always higher than what your vision holds so that you can land at least in the vision that you do want. But if you don't aim higher, you may end lower. So aim higher, especially when you have problems, when you go in court or under that. Aim higher with a little ounce of faith. Oh, I don't believe in anything, but I'm going to believe that this possible future that is better for all. Everybody has to be included, though.
Yes. I remember you always saying that. You said it can't just be for you, it has to be for everybody that's involved.
Yeah. And think
Mhm.
about it when you go to court or whatever it is legal. Is the benefit for everyone is that whatever is the best outcome, it's going to be the best outcome for everyone. It may not be the outcome that the past wanted to stay things as they are, or fighting, or not giving money, all those issues that the past beholds, but it's going to pull everyone into a higher possibility of change, of shifting and adapting into a better, brilliant future now.
Yes, and I think that's where that faith is the stabilizer. It's an anchor so that when you start, because the truth is, even though I teach this, I live this, sometimes I get those moments where where I get wobbly, where it's almost like I'm on a ship and I'm starting to kind of feel, and I always just say, okay, let's get centered back into that faith. And I love what you were saying about aim higher, because to me, that's also aligning with divine will. Because I have an idea, and I'm sure our listeners have this idea of, oh, it'd be so amazing if this were to happen for me. And I always think, you always said this. You always said, God doesn't play small. God plays a really big game. And
Totally.
yeah, and that was always one of my favorite statements that you would say. And so I always imagine God inflating the vision a little bit more, putting it like if I had a vision in my mind of something, it's like he's putting Technicolor on it and saying, expand that times 10 or 20 and let it be bigger. Even though I didn't know exactly what that would be, I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to feel it in my heart and my body, what could be possible if I just didn't stop there, right? Because we're so used to using our mind that can be logical and very limited because it's aligned with the past. So do you remember that, how you would always say that God plays, I think maybe I'm paraphrasing, but you would say God plays a big game, don't play small.
Oh, of course, it does. I'm not going to say he, but it does. It does. One of the interesting things that happened through this quantum leap is that when you die to the old selves or personalities, it literally has to go away. And I think I woke up, I remember telling my friends, Grace Terry, I feel that I feel like nothing, no one, nothing. And she was saying something about the double quantum self or something. I don't know. It was still like, I was like, engaging in this body, blood, cells, muscles, etc. And I heard Dr. Joe Dispenza saying that you have to become nothing, no one. I was like, that's exactly the experience I just had. In order to be able to not manifest, but to become the future self. Actually, I think he has a book about that, like how to not to die to the old self, but how to become that other quantum self. I don't remember the name. But in that process, one of the things that, for example, for me happened on is like no training, nothing that I've done, everything collapsed, even the concept of God. And I remember telling Rebecca, my partner for many years, my student coordinator of our programs, I held her hand and I said, take care of my dog. I gave her my dog, everything here's all of the things. And I said, have you ever not believed in God? And she's like, yeah, sometimes I said, I do not have any memory of it at all. It was so empty of the self. But then what I want to tell people about faith is that once these quantum leaps occur, once these timeline shifts occur and you do prioritize faith, you will realize that not only God is real, but it's living and breathing in every single one of your cells. It is so powerful to meet God, not from the perspective of the past, not from what you've been taught spiritually, not what any book has said, but to meet God in the body. I think that's what you call it, God realization. It's so powerful. So if I can tell anything to your audience, it's like, don't quit. Keep going.
Yeah. And when you're saying that nothingness, I just I'm so visual and I keep imagining a dark space. And it's almost when you're saying the nothingness and the identity being gone, it feels to me, it's almost like somebody's plugged in. And then just for a moment, it's like they're unplugged. And then whether it's like a computer has to reset and reboot. And while it's resetting and rebooting, it's like you're in that nothingness. And then the new program comes online and you're like, oh, wait a second. And then you can feel like you were saying, yeah, that's exactly what I meant by the God realization is in your cells of your being, you know God on a different level now. And it's not a concept. It's like, it's a truth that lives inside of you.
I love how you're putting it, I think, and you are grasping it because that was the feeling of, it was not, in the hero's journey, we have the meaning of the masters, the falling into the dark nights of the soul. That's a traditional language of spirituality right now. We all speak about the dark nights of the soul, death and rebirth, and metamorphosis, alchemy, embodiment. We all do that, right? And then there is the collapse. And then it's like the floor just open up, as you said, and you are it's a continuous falling into the void where it's absolute emptiness. As you know, I used to teach about the Heart Sutra. And the Heart Sutra is one of the greatest sacred teachings of Buddhism. And this is a sutra that one of the highest disciples of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, asks the Buddha, what is this? What is enlightenment? What is emptiness? Tell me all about it. And the Buddha begins to respond to Shariputra, as the disciple. he says everything is empty. There's no, even there's a part of the chant that says no nose, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, nothing to grasp, nothing to attain, nothing to behold. I always chanted it. I thought it was fascinating. I would call and romanticize the emptiness. Oh, dawn is the total annihilation of the concept of the ego. And you literally feel like what you're saying is such, you, it's like, I heard the news that it's possible, NASA or I don't know what organization said that it's possible that the Milky Way and the planet Earth, all of our universe, is inside a black hole. And it made so much sense to me. I'm like, this is why we keep falling. This is why we keep suffering. It makes so much sense. So it feels like we are in a consistent black hole. And then suddenly you wake up and you understand that there's suffering and there's going to be, you understand it's technology. But you do have that ounce of faith because now you have not returned, but it's like you have come back from a trip that you never thought you were going to come back from. And now you get Hero's Journey Wise to share a little bit of the elixirs to give a little bit more faith and hope to others because they will too quantum leap, they will too rise. We're here in this humanity to activate these God molecules inside of us and to just rise. It's such an educational program, what we are living here on Earth.
And you're such a leader because you're going first, as leaders do, so that if somebody goes through something like this, they have some context and the faith, that beautiful serum of faith, the elixir, as you said it, that there is something on the other side of this. And I know a lot of people, especially when they do plant medicine, they have the ego death, but then they come, the medicine wears off and they come back and then they have to integrate and all that kind of stuff. But what you're talking about is completely, I think for a lot of people, the nothingness could be very terrifying.
It is.
Yes.
It is terrifying, is the most terrible thing because your identity will die with it. Everything you think you are, spiritual, woman, man, clothes, dads, no dads, money, children, past, everything that you've done is going to show up in your brain, not what they did to you. Every single thing is more than a past regression. It's a total collapse of every single fractal of belief. And so when everything shatters and you become nothing, I cannot say, wow.
Yeah. And all I can think about is the construct of the mind and how so much of our life is the stories that we've constructed that build the home within us. And the home of, oh, my parents did this. And if my parents hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be this. Or, oh, my astrology chart says this. And by the way, I love astrology, as you know, but there's these things that we build ourselves upon. And for it to momentarily just go dark and be like, who am I outside of all that? Ooh.
I love that what you just said, just go dark. You know what I saw? For me right now, for when you said it's like what you went, like you're such a leader for what you went through. I cannot take that credit. Let me tell you why. Because when I think of the credit, I owe this to whatever is called the past self, to that representation of me, that survived, that had the stories, she had to go through the collapse. She had to collapse in everything. She had to do 10,000 tea ceremonies for me now to say, I love it, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And just to move forward. But what I saw about the stories, Dawn, is it's like Legos. We build bricks and we build these towers since we were children of the belief of mom, the belief of dad, the trauma from dad, the trauma from mom, trauma from school, teachers, breakups, breakthroughs, you lie, they lie to you. All of these, we make this Lego building history and identity of the self. And then a child comes, existence, reality, and does this, and all the pieces begin to fall apart, or someone is bringing it down piece by piece, and it's just so divinely painful so excruciating. It's more than giving birth. It's a pain that you will never understand because your mind has no understanding of truly the detachment of it. But then the ego is back. I can tell you that I have an ego because I have a name right now. People recognize me as Ivonne Delaflor, and I have teachings and I create art. But I can tell you something. It's God is so real. I don't even know. I'm going to sound like a preacher now. God is more real than every single our belief systems and the realities that we think we know have told us all. It's far much more powerful than anything we will ever encounter because it's in us. So it's like, yeah.
Oh, that is the deepest permission slip. Everything in my life is based on creator, God, whatever. Everybody has a different word that they can use to interchange that. But for me, God is a daily conversation, daily prayer, so much possibility. When I start to feel stuck, I just feel, okay, there is this essence that I can connect to. And I still think for me, it's working on feeling it more deeply within I haven't completely come to that cellular piece. I have moments of that. But yeah, I think that's just lovely. And I'm curious because after an experience like this, and especially because we have talked constellation stuff before. So listeners don't know, there's one of my favorites, and I know you studied it under him much more deeply than I did, Mark Wolynn, and that whole concept, it's your family system. And it's like why something happened to you and how you may unconsciously be repeating it. And then Ivonne took us through a process, what was that, just last year, I think, where we did a new constellation where we're repatterning the future and our family system that way. So are you still connected to that? Or
Yeah, I love family constellations. I've been a practitioner of family constellations for more than 20 years. Mark Wolynn is my teacher. And so every single work that we do to heal that is like going to the gym. Every healing aspect that you do with your mother, with your father, rearranging the constellation, gives you more clarity of the place that you live in now. Because before you do a family constellation, everything is very scrambled. You know, like in transcendental rebirthing, we have this principle called everything in the right drawer. Which socks go in the right drawer with the pairs, the socks that disappear in the house, with the pairs, the underwear in the underwear drawer. And so you have to put the drawers of grandma belongs here, mom here, instead of having it all crumbled and overwhelming your nervous system. But what family constellations have done and continue to do for people, I continue to serve people in that. And just like people that request them, I just do family constellations online for them. And usually collaborate with other people that they do, their plant medicines for them or something. And I go in 2 hours and we do it online because it helps them reorganize not only the brain, but the cellular memory. And when there's more clarity and more organization, those quantum leaps are going to happen more easy. I'm telling you, the way I went through this, I do not recommend it to anyone. It was brutal to say the least, but I'm glad that I can tell people that they can have those quantum leaps. They're going to have moments of deep fear, the moments of deep or rage, or deep memories of traumas, etc., etc. And there's another way. And the other way is to clarify and to know that it's temporal and that you will get through that. But it's family constellations is still something I would use. I still use it. I still serve people with that because it helps you reorganize. And a house that is organized and clean, clear, has more potentials for more than a house that is not, the inner house. Right?
Yeah, it made such a huge difference. The constellation work that we've done and what you've taught about bringing the constellation into the future, I just absolutely adore that work. I know you said you're going to continue to use the codes of awe, and I would love for you to show them in a little bit. But what are you most excited about right now after this whole quantum leap you've gone through? And it doesn't even have to be about healing per se, but is there something that you're just like, oh, this is now what this identity is into or excited to do?
You know what I'm the most excited about? Joy, life. This moment. Of course, I'm creating a zillion things. I'm publishing books. I'm doing a lot of tasks, challenges, accomplishments. All of that is happening. But there's so much, like, even if I wake up with pain, I'm like, wow, that this is an experience that I'm having right now. It's just a condition. It's not a permanency, it's such a condition. So my life has become my training. Everything is approached with so much joy, even when I don't want to tell people. It's not like I'm always happy, but even in the suffering, the pain, I'm like, I'm so grateful, incredibly grateful. So that's what I'm the most excited about. This is the first time and you're the first person that I talk. I have a couple of other podcast interviews, but I have nothing fancy to say. It's become so simple. And it reflects my life has become so simple too. I moved, and it's the first time in my life that I don't own anything that I don't use. And I say this with so much pride and joy. I feel like Mary Kondo kind of vibes has
Yes.
in my life. Nothing that everything is in use. Everything has become an altar, even my wallet. For those of you who are like to attracting money and all of that, create an altar of your wallet. Make sure to treat it so kindly, so like rejoicing. Wow, I was able to help people. I have a license. I have an ID. What a toy to have. What a portable altar to create. How can you make every single moment as an altar of your own experience? And so that's what I'm excited about. Besides, of course, I'm creating my app is launching the beginning of next year. The codes of the sacred geometry codes are the ones that are calling more the attention of people. There's an app coming out of them. I can't say that now because now it's all registered. So I have a lot of things coming in the physical world. But what I'm most grateful about is this moment. At any moment that I get to experience life with my children, I have a new relationship with each of my children now. They are like, oh, having so much fun because I'm having so much fun. Even though I have to use a wheelchair sometimes still. And imagine I have wheels to move. That is so much joy that I hope is a transmission for people that are having a challenge. They have a little scar or they have a diagnosis. This is such a privilege that we have right now to experience God in every single condition that we have. So that's what I'm excited about. I don't have anything fancy to say.
I think that's better than having some fancy little answer. I think having joy is something that we all desire. And I know, at least for me, maybe our listeners, we're waiting for life to bring us a joyful experience to have joy. And what you're saying is joy for the plain and simple act of living. And I think that is such a gift and such a transmission. And I started to work on that myself recently. I went through a period of time where I realized my life had lost a little bit of its joy. And so I actually picked up this book. I think it's called Magic or something. It's by Rhonda Byrne. It was this a practice of gratitude.
Yes.
And it was so interesting just starting to look at life from these little viewpoints in different ways. All of a sudden, my joy started to bubble up again. And I started to get excited. And then I started to tell myself, do I need something big or something to work out for me in order to have joy? And I had to reprogram myself because I had gotten a little bit away from that. And so I think that's
just very quickly. You are such a futurist. Don't you know how much I admire? You are the embodiment, everybody. I'm going to say this of the most amazing student, because the best student always goes higher than the teacher, right? I don't even know how to say it in English anymore. It's always better. And she's that done. But that joy, when you say that you lost the joy, no, the part of your personality lost that. But who you are never loses the joy because life is joy, right? Life is God, life is joy. This is a training. Can tell us what was this going will sound. Earth is a training place. It's definitely a training place. And all of sorts of things, but better enjoy the ride. And when you have pain and when you are tired and when you're exhausted and all of that, understand that that's just a condition. That's not who you are. So
that is so true. I always am reminding myself of that. Okay, Ivonne, I would love for you to share that. But before we do, I want you to tell people where they can find you. Of course, I'll put it in the show notes. But if there's anything that you're doing right now or a place that they can land on to really follow your work.
Okay. So of course, we're redoing my website because of all of these, but my website is my name,
Okay.
YvonneDelaflor.com. It's spelled with an I, Yvonne, because many people spell it with a Y. Instagram, even TikTok. I just posted because you can see, Dawn, you're going to be able to see what happened before and after. It's like a shift. I'm more active on Instagram these days. So they can find me there, or they also can send an email to Yvonne at YvonneDelaflor.com. So it's all my name. So they can find me there. And right now I'm just focused on publishing books. That's my whole thing. I'm doing just private sessions by request of family constellations with futuring. I always say to people, do you want only to stay on the concept of the past, or do you want to move forward? So we do those sessions, and I'm about to open a mastermind with Alex Lucky because we got to bring the channeling into the equation. And he's such a fabulous channeler of archangels and sacred geometry. We're opening a mastermind called the Rooftop Mastermind in January by application only. And we're launching this program called Stars of Change, one in English and one in Spanish, super affordable this year. So that's what's coming.
I love it. And I love Alex too.
Oh, he's such a phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's so phenomenal because you know what happened very quickly. My friends that were with me that went through the dark with me, Rebecca and Grace, they were so helpful. They held my hand when I was like, here is my money. They saw I couldn't move my body anymore. They saw everybody went through a shift so potent. Alex, too. We all have gone through some kind of like, I'm going to share this with your audience, but we call it the blissionaire, billionaire mindset. We've accessed that. We're excited to share this with others.
I love that. And that's a gift for everybody. So definitely you guys go follow her, check out her work. And then I'd love for you to share and for us to end with this beautiful code of awe that everybody can see on YouTube. My gosh, let's explain this one or tell us about this.
I'm just going to share about the colors. I don't want to go because I know we arrive on the time frame that you put for the podcast, but I just want to share with you. I wanted to bring this code a little bit of the year of the horse still. We're headed to the year of the goat, Dawn. That is going to be so powerful. It's the year of faith. But right now we're in the year of action. We're the year of leaping. So these colors, the red, I want people to be very grounded, right? Very grounded is the first chakra. There's a lot of healing that requires to happen there. There's a lot of also the green, the heart color, the violet, the crown chakra. So we have all of the chakras playing here to bring an integration of an activation of life, of passion, with harmony with the heart and transformation of the mind. So if you want, I'll just do a little activation per year with the code for everyone. And of course, I'm here in the front, but for you to see. So if you are not driving, you can just close your eyes. You don't need to do this for a long time because your quantum self can do it right now. And just know that you are being bathed by these colors and these frequencies. It's 528 hertz, the frequency of love, 963 hertz, the frequency of the universe. And so these frequencies are recognizing the frequency of your own body. We're accessing alpha levels, theta levels of our mind just by recognizing that the colors of spirit, the oranges, passion, confidence, joy, healing, transmutation, and transformation with an opening of the heart are happening for us right now. So visualize this code as a blanket covering you from wherever you want to put this blanket on in your body. Sending the frequency of healing, of compassion, passion, restoration of joy, and restoration of you. Waheguru Chika Kalsa, Waheguru Chika Fate Sadnamji, Sarveyan Shanti Bhavatur, may there be peace, passion, love, and joy in you. May there be peace, love, passion, and joy in us all.
Oh my gosh. We are so lucky to have you, Yvonne, and to get to see this beautiful code. And I closed my eyes and just felt those words and that geometry move through my body. So I just want to thank you. And for our listeners, you can check this out on YouTube so you could actually see the code because it's stunning and gorgeous. Yvonne, thank you so much. You know, I love you. I have to say this. I've had many teachers in my life, you guys. I'm somebody that is eternal student, even though I teach as well. And Ivonne has been probably the most prolific mentor I've had because she's the real deal, you guys. And everything she's taught me wasn't just something that you read and go, okay, yeah. It was so much deeper. It was the constellation, it was the futuring, and it was just your friendship always. Ivonne and I always have, well, we were having tea when I would go through and visit
We are
her.
friends.
Yeah, we're friends. I love you. Thank you for being here, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.